Hey everyone, if you're watching this right now, I want you to do me a favor. Pause for just a second and hit that like button if you've ever felt like life was testing you in ways you never expected. And if you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications because stories like this, real stories of heartbreak, betrayal, and impossible comebacks, are what we do every week. You won't believe what happened after I sold my apartment for $256,000. I thought it was my fresh start. Instead, it nearly destroyed everything I loved. Stick around till the end, because this one has a twist that still gives me chills, and a message that might just change how you face your own storms. My name is Alex Rivera. 2 years ago, I was 38, a single dad raising my 10-year-old daughter, Mia, in a cramped but beloved 2-bedroom apartment on the edge of the city. That place wasn't just walls and windows to us, it was home. I bought it right after Mia's mom left us, scraping together every overtime hour from my job at the auto repair shop. The walls were covered in Mia's drawings of sunflowers and spaceships. The tiny kitchen still smelled like her favorite pancakes on Sunday mornings. We had survived the divorce, the sleepless nights when she cried for a mother who never called, and the medical scares that drained our savings. That apartment held our laughter and our tears. It was our safe harbor. But life doesn't care about safe harbors. Mia started having severe headaches, migraines that turned into something far worse. The doctors found a tumor. Benign, they said, but it needed surgery fast, and our insurance was a joke. The bills were already piling up like storm clouds. I worked double shifts, sold my old truck, and still came up short. When a cash buyer offered $256,000 for the apartment, well above market because some developer wanted the whole block, I didn't hesitate. It felt like fate. We could pay for the surgery, move into something smaller, and finally breathe. The closing was smooth. I signed the papers with shaking hands, hugged Mia tight that night in our half-packed living room, and told her, "Baby, this is our new chapter. No more worrying." She smiled that gap-toothed smile that always melted me, and for the first time in months, I slept without nightmares. 3 days later, my phone rang while I was at the hospital with Mia, waiting for her pre-op scans. It was the bank, the same one that had handled the wire transfer. The woman's voice was professional but edged with urgency. "Mr. Rivera, we need you to come in today. Alone. There's an issue with the transaction. Do not bring anyone with you, and please keep this confidential." My stomach dropped. Alone? What kind of request was that? I kissed Mia's forehead, told her I'd be back soon, and drove to the bank with my heart hammering. The branch manager, a stern man named Mr. Hargrove, ushered me into a back office. No pleasantries. He slid a folder across the desk. "The buyer who purchased your apartment, his identity doesn't check out. The funds were wired from an account linked to a larger fraud ring. We've frozen everything. Your money, it's gone, Mr. Rivera. And the apartment. The real owner is still fighting the title transfer. You may have been part of an elaborate scam." I felt the room spin. $256,000. Mia's surgery. Our future. All of it vanishing in one sentence. I slammed my fist on the table, tears burning my eyes. How? I did everything right. The lawyer. The paperwork. How did this happen? Hargrove looked uncomfortable. These rings target people in desperate situations. They move fast, use fake identities, and disappear. We're investigating, but recovery could take years. And right now, the developer who wanted the block is suing everyone involved. I left the bank in a daze. The world blurred around me. Honking cars, people rushing by with their own problems. I sat in my old borrowed car and cried like I hadn't since the divorce. How was I going to tell Mia? She was already terrified of the surgery, clinging to the hope that Daddy had fixed everything. I drove straight to the hospital, but I couldn't go in. I sat in the parking lot, head against the steering wheel, replaying every moment. The buyer's too quick smile. The way the escrow company had rushed the closing. My own desperation blinding me to the red flags. The next weeks were hell. Mia's surgery couldn't wait, so I begged the hospital for payment plans, maxed out credit cards I swore I'd never touch again, and took out a high-interest loan from a family friend who could barely afford it himself. The developer slapped a lien on the apartment, meaning I couldn't even claim it back easily. Eviction notices started coming while we were still living there, surrounded by half-packed boxes. Neighbors whispered. Friends offered pity but little help. I felt like a failure as a father, as a man. Nights were the worst. Mia would wake from nightmares about the tumor, and I'd hold her, whispering lies that everything would be okay while my own fear choked me. But here's where the story turns, and where real people stepped up in ways I never expected. One evening, as I was packing the last of our things under the dim kitchen light, there was a knock. It was Mrs. Elena Torres, my elderly neighbor from across the hall. She'd lived there 30 years, knew everyone on the block. Alex, I heard what happened. The whole building is talking. You can't fight this alone. She wasn't rich, but she brought a casserole and a list of names, people in the community who had dealt with shady developers before. A retired lawyer named Mr. Patel, who specialized in real estate fraud. A journalist friend of hers who started digging into the buyer. Together, we built a case. Mr. Patel worked pro bono, poring over documents late into the night at my tiny motel room after we finally moved out. Elena organized a neighborhood fundraiser, baking sales, car washes, even a GoFundMe that strangers from our city contributed to. Mia's surgery happened on time, thank God. She came through it stronger, her headaches gone, drawing new sunflowers in her hospital bed. But the fight wasn't over. The fraud ring had used my apartment as part of a money laundering scheme, flipping titles quickly to legitimate developers who claimed ignorance. The turning point came at a tense meeting with the bank and the developer. I walked in alone again, but this time I wasn't powerless. Mr. Patel was by my side legally, and I carried a folder thick with evidence Elena's network had gathered. My voice shook at first as I spoke directly to the executives. I sold my home for my daughter's life. You froze my future because of your oversight. But I'm not disappearing. This apartment held my family's story, and you're not erasing it without a fight. Something in my raw honesty shifted the room. The developer, pressured by bad publicity from the journalist, agreed to a settlement. The bank, facing potential lawsuits, released a partial recovery of the funds, enough to cover most of what we lost and start over. It wasn't a fairy tale. We didn't get the full $256,000 back. We moved into a smaller rental, one with thinner walls and a view of the freeway instead of the park. But Mia was healthy. She was laughing again, chasing butterflies in the tiny courtyard. I found steadier work at a better shop, and slowly, we rebuilt. Elena became like a grandmother to Mia. Mr. Patel refused payment, saying, "Pay it forward someday." The community that rallied around us reminded me that even in the darkest moments, we're never truly alone unless we choose to be. Looking back, selling that apartment wasn't the end of our story, it was the forge that tested us. The fear, the betrayal, the sleepless nights, they broke me down to my core, but they also showed me my strength and the incredible power of kindness from unexpected places. Life will knock you down, sometimes in the cruelest ways, especially when you're already fighting for the people you love. But if you reach out, speak your truth, and refuse to stay silent, you'll find hands ready to lift you up. If this story hit you in the heart, if you've ever lost everything and fought your way back, or if you're facing something that feels impossible right now, drop a like, comment your own story below, and subscribe for more real-life tales of resilience. Share this with someone who needs hope today. You're stronger than you know. Mia and I are proof. Thanks for watching till the end. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong out there.